Welcome to the program, and today we come to you right from Philadelphia, the city that played host to the Democratic National Convention.
A man you can bait with a tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons.
Now, 5 Kenyan politicians and party chiefs were here for the convention. Musalia Mudavadi of the Amani National Congress, Johnson Sakaja of TNA, NARC Kenya's Martha Karua, Raila Odinga of ODM, and Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Joyce Laboso. In this program, find out why the Kenyan leaders were here and what they are taking back home.
Now, what is coming out here is that the party must be owned by the members.
The important lesson is at the end of the day, it's how you resolve the daily issues, the daily emerging issues that distinguishes you.
As opposed to the US, in Kenya, all our media is supposed to play neutral.
But first, let's have a look at what happened at the other convention, that is the Republican Convention in Cleveland, Ohio.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Cleveland the next President of the United States, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Stand and speak and vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution.
I formally declare Donald J. Trump and Michael R. Pence the Republican nominees for President and Vice President of these United States.
It is very humbling for me, as a small-town boy from southern Indiana, whose grandfather came to this great country in 1923, to think that I will step to a podium and accept my party's nomination to run and serve as the next Vice President of the United States of America.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States. Together, we will lead our party back to the White House, and we will lead our country back to safety, prosperity, and peace. But we will also be a country of law and order.
All right, that is what happened at the Republican Convention in Cleveland. How about here at the Wells Fargo Center during the Democratic Convention? Let us have a look at some of the high-profile speeches that were delivered.
I want someone with the proven strength to persevere, someone who knows this job and takes it seriously, someone who understands that the issues a president faces are not black and white and cannot be boiled down to 140 characters. Look, because when you have the nuclear codes at your fingertips and the military in your command, you can't make snap decisions. You can't have a thin skin or a tendency to lash out. You need to be steady and measured and well-informed.
She backed President Obama's decision to go after Osama bin Laden. She launched a team. This is really important today. She launched a team to fight back against terrorists online and built a new global counterterrorism effort. We've got to win this battle in the mind field.
I see a younger generation full of energy and new ideas, not constrained by what is, ready to seize what ought to be. And most of all, I see Americans of every party, every background, every faith, who believe that we are stronger together. Black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American, young, old, gay, straight, men, women, folks with disabilities, all pledging allegiance under the same proud flag to this big, bold country that we love. That's what I see. That's the America I know. And there is only one candidate in this race who believes in that future, has devoted her life to that future, a mother and a grandmother who would do anything to help our children thrive.
For all of us who know that the brightest future for our country is the one that we build together, and for my friend Hillary Clinton, I humbly accept my party's nomination to be Vice President of the United States.
Donald Trump can't even handle the rough and tumble of a presidential campaign. He loses his cool at the slightest provocation. When he's gotten a tough question from a reporter, when he's challenged in a debate, when he sees a protester at a rally. Imagine, if you dare, imagine him in the Oval Office facing a real crisis. A man you can bait with a tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons.
Now, why were Kenyan leaders here? They were here specifically to attend the International Leaders Forum organized by the National Democratic Institute, a non-partisan, non-profit organization that enhances democracy across the world. And some of the topics that were discussed at that forum were how to run political parties, issues of funding, the role of media, the role of women and youths in political parties. So let us have a look at some of the lessons they learned.
Learned a lot from running a big party from the Democrats. I've had some meetings with officials of the Democratic Party here, and we've shared a lot of experiences. And for us, I think we're better off now with that knowledge. There's a lot of thought that goes into everything they do here. It's a democracy that has evolved over time and has been refined. So for us, and specifically Jubilee, these are lessons that are really important as we move towards our merger. Of course, we've made certain connections with people who can be of use to us next year as we look forward to the re-election of President Kenyatta.
One of the things is that the political issues around the world are similar. They may differ in magnitude, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Polarization of people of different political persuasion is here just like it is at home. But I think the important lesson is at the end of the day, it's how you resolve the daily issues, the daily emerging issues that distinguishes you. And I must say I was very impressed in the manner in which Senator Bernie Sanders tried to rally his supporters behind the cause of the Democratic Party, the Democratic nominee, telling them all it's not lost. They've already made their point, and the revolution they started to reform the party will not end. So he was trying to tell them to see the bigger picture.
So for you, when you go back, how are you strategizing to do things differently? Because many Kenyans think it's just lessons without change.
Not really. I think, our political parties are growing. And one of the major challenges that we have is resources. As you can see, it costs a lot of money to stage a feat like this one here. But most of it is, of course, paid for by delegates themselves, so that the institution, that is the party, pays fairly little. There's also corporate sponsorship. We've got private sector which also helps to defray the costs. This really is the difference, because in our own situation, the party is left to shoulder the burden entirely on its own. If we can address the issue of resources, I'm sure that we can be able also to stage a convention, not exactly like this, something similar. It helps to bring the people together so that they can be able to read from the same page. When you're going into an election, a political party's message needs to be coherent. Basically, bad culture, which was basically imposed on the society under the single party dictatorship, that the government and the party were one and the same thing. People expected something from the party rather than giving to the party. So people keep on making demands on the party and on the leadership. Because until there is a paradigm shift and a change of attitude, so that a party is me, and therefore I belong to the party, I need to build the party, we still will have this problem.
As opposed to the US, in Kenya, all our media is supposed to play neutral, but here you have Fox News that is clearly Republican, you have the CNNs and the rest that are clearly supporting the Democrats. So just comparing notes with what we have in our country, I think we're actually doing better. Because in Kenya, you can get the full story from any media house. The media houses have chosen to remain as neutral as possible. But here, there are obvious biases and different target markets. Either they have decided to be honest with themselves, or they find it easier and neater.
Is it a bad thing, being aligned to a certain political party?
Well, I think, the media should not be aligned to any political party, in my opinion. Because the media is...
Or supports another political, the ideas or the ideology.
I don't think, I think the media plays its best role in democracy by just being a mirror through which people can see what is happening in society. Then you let the citizens make their own decisions. Because media is so influential, it forms opinion, it shapes opinion. So if media should play, an advocacy role for any political party, then you remove that safe space that any citizen can go to get credible information from which to base their political decisions. So I prefer how we are in Kenya.
History was made that in this nation, an old democracy of 230 plus years, for the first time in their history, a major party has nominated a woman as a presidential candidate. That is truly historical, and I was glad to be part of that moment here.
There is more in the show. Time to take a short break now. When we return, we will take you through the US politics through the eyes of Musalia Mudavadi, the leader of Amani National Congress. You are watching Philadelphia Special, a look at some of the lessons the Kenyan leaders who came here during the Democratic National Convention picked during the convention. And one of the leaders, Musalia Mudavadi, the party leader of Amani National Congress, said he was passionate about the aspect of Kenyans becoming the real owners of political parties. So I sought to find out why he is passionate about that and whether he means it. Take a look. Welcome to the show, Honorable Musalia.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, you've spent time here. You've attended the International Leaders Forum that was organized by the National Democratic Institute. For you, what is key? What is the most important lesson you've picked from that forum?
You see, I think what has come out of this is that as much as there is the Democratic Convention taking place, the party and its affiliate organizations have organized very important symposia around that particular convention. And in this symposia, they're getting high-profile people who are addressing different policy issues. Now, this is very significant, in my view, because what has been happening when we have our own various party NDCs in Kenya, everybody focuses on that one event, and it becomes sometimes a place where there's just the normal chorus within the framework of the whole. But you then miss out in terms of what is the ideology of the party. What kind of approach should the party take in different policy positions, whether economic, social, foreign policy, immigration policy, and all this. Now, these are coming out very clearly in the various symposia that are organized around the convention. That is a very important thing. Because you see, political parties should not just be political parties for the typical politicking.
Just vehicles of going in seeking power.
Seeking power. Mm-hmm. Political parties should also become institutions that generate and focus on specific policy issues. Mm-hmm. Now, this is coming out very strongly when you observe the Democratic National.
So, how do you rate Kenyan political parties in terms of policy and ideology?
I think the reality is that we have not been doing very well in Kenya as political parties on that score, and it is important that the practices, the positive practices that we are seeing here become the traditional practices of our parties in Kenya, because then it will help people focus on what really matters. Okay, people must be able to determine what is their policy on environment and so forth. All these factors are always taken for granted or disregarded in our political arena. But that is not what it should be. Because to build and entrench democracy and to have people to be able to define and distinguish political parties, we must, as a Kenyan people, start interrogating our political party leadership and our political party membership in the context of their policy content.
For Amani National Congress, what stops you from now focusing on that and moving now to a level where you can be identified a party with a particular ideology and known for certain policies?
Absolutely nothing stops us from doing that. And in fact, I'm so pleased that the thoughts and the approach we have been taking is being reinforced by what we are seeing here. Because we have wanted, and we are committed as members of the Amani National Congress to make it a party that will move away from the culture of personality cults, that will move away from the culture of the big man syndrome, and become a party that works more on policy issues, develop policy, change it according to the needs and environment that you are operating in, and then at the same time, a party that recognizes and rewards its membership.
And where is the place of the ordinary people in the party?
Oh, here they participate fully, and they take stock of who their parties are identifying and grooming for leadership. The members here pay for their membership. As I said to you earlier, for instance, in this convention, the party has not spent money to pay for any of the members to participate. The members have been dying to get a ticket, if you put it that way. They have been paying to get a ticket to go to the convention or to participate in the symposia. They are committing their own resources. All right? This is very different from what we see in Kenya. In Kenya, somebody says, where are we likely to get the money to hold a symposium? Where are we going to get the money to hold the delegates conference? And then they look up to one or two individuals. And then at the end of the day, they become hostage to these particular individuals.
You know, but in Kenya, the issue is poverty and the fact that corruption makes Kenyans to give up, that they wouldn't want to give their money to political parties because of perception that we are giving to big people to eat our money.
You see, that is where we need to make the difference, and that is where they can make the difference. It is not about big money. It's about small contributions. And I gave you the example of the people who have supported Sanders in the campaign were donating only $27 a person. Now, if you were to go to Kenya to hold that delegates conference, there would be nothing wrong if the members of the party also said we are going to make some contribution. Now, this becomes important because that member, when they are voting for their candidate, or that member, when they are now taking a position on a policy issue, they have a vested interest as members. They are stakeholders. All right? Now, the way political parties have been behaving in Kenya is as if the political party belongs to somebody and then others are invitees to that party.
And in the run-up to the next polls in Kenya, is your party ready to have people compete for the presidential ticket, or you are the chosen one?
I would be so happy if there would be other players who would come up and become members of the ANC and say that they are ready and willing to also contest for any elective post. That is what we want to build, so that the party becomes more vibrant. And we are keen to make sure that we become the party that develops good practice in the Kenyan political scene. And I want to invite those who have been there, because what we are seeing, and I've been saying it severally, that we have the extreme left and the extreme right, even in Kenya. And it's something that is now being played here. The extremists in the Republican Party, who have always perhaps been pursuing a different thing, are beginning to come at the center of it. Now we need to also realize that in Kenya we also have extreme elements, and we need to have another constituency of Kenyans who can say that there is an alternative leadership in this country, and that is what ANC stands for.
Are you ready for the election?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm working, thinking, preparing, and I look forward to the elections of 2017.
Now with that, we come to the end of the show. We are glad you watched. We were hosting this show right from the city of Philadelphia, where the Democratic National Convention took place. On behalf of the crew, I'm Alex Chamwada. See you next week, same time, for another informative show.